We are now live on YouTube.
Sweet. Make sure it doesn't start broadcasting like it did that one time. That was so many things to learn. Well, we can get started if you'd like. That way we're not holding up your time, Michael.
Whatever you guys think is best. I'm good until 2:30, so this is the priority. So whenever you guys are ready, we can go.
I think we can get rolling. You want to kick this off, Casey?
All right. Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. Josh and Casey here, and this is Remote R&D with Baker AV. We hope that you're all doing well and staying safe, and we genuinely appreciate you being with us here today.
So today we are sitting here with Michael Laccabue from TAMCO, a valued partner here with us at Baker, and we're going to be discussing AV as a service, particularly with regards to financing and weighing capital versus operational expense. And Michael, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure, Josh and Casey.
Why don't you take a moment, Michael, to tell us a little bit about yourself and about TAMCO?
Sure. So TAMCO's been around for 26 years. Originally, back in the day, we financed a lot of phone systems, on-premise phone systems. And obviously, over the 26-year history, technology's changed a lot. And, the way technology is used and how customers view technology has changed very rapidly. So the last 15 years, I've been working with TAMCO and working with partners like yourselves to offer unique finance opportunities. AV as a service is the way we're positioning it today, and allowing customers more flexibility, control, and peace of mind. And you'll probably hear me say that a couple times throughout our session today, but this program was designed 26 years ago to do just that, because today's technology buyer really are looking for alternatives. And I think more so as we move forward, and we'll talk more about that, I'm sure.
Excellent, thank you. So given the current climate where work from home culture is more prevalent than it was 6 months ago, is this a good time to evaluate current on-prem technologies, audit expenditures, plan for the future, even through capital, even though capital funds might be at an all-time low?
Yeah, well, I think, it's important to do all those things on a periodic basis. But I think because of the situational factors, many companies are forced to look at that now more than they might have in the past. And I almost think they do themselves, their employees, their customers a disservice by not evaluating how they're doing business and looking for options that give them more flexibility, control, and peace of mind. Cash has always been king, if you will. Like, it's always a very important part of what we do in business or even our personal lives. And I don't think that'll ever change, but many companies are going to be in a different position now than they were just months ago. And even if they do have capital or cash available to them, the focus may not be on technology. It's going to be on short-term, long-term survival, right? How do we get through this? So that doesn't mean they won't have needs for technology, but how they might look at procuring that could change from just a few short months ago.
Yeah, those are great points. Thank you. So a challenge that the tech community often faces is that once a project is wrapped, the life cycle is quite short compared to other elements of development for office spaces. Can you explain how TAMCO facilitates upgrades on demand?
Sure, sure. So when you think about it, technology companies spend billions of dollars on research and development every year. They're constantly looking at new products, new solutions to bring to market because that's how they grow their business. And I think the days of owning technology and running it until the wheels fall off, they don't really exist anymore because now companies have access to technology very easily, quickly, and it's changing. And because of this change, and sometimes our current situational factors are driving it, our business needs have changed. So technology can drive that, or our business needs could change the need for different technology. And that's really where our AV as a service program comes in. And a key differentiator is that we have a solution replacement guarantee that gives the customers peace of mind that should things change in technology, that they have that peace of mind and flexibility to change with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Flexibility is a really great way to put it. You know, flexibility is kind of key right now because things are so fluid. So being able to change things around as needed is super important. So is this a buyout option or a trade-in? How do you view that?
So it's actually not a buyout or a trade-in. The solution replacement guarantee, SRG is what we call it for short, when triggered by a customer, allows them to upgrade their technology at any time. And the easiest way to think about it is kind of out with the old and in with the new. And there's no rollover, there's no hidden costs, there's no penalty. Basically, we're forgiving the remaining payments on the agreement and then starting a new agreement for the new technology with the payment the same or greater and the term the same or greater. So this is about new feature, functionality, capacity for the customers, the companies that are leveraging this. And we really haven't been able to find another program or offering out there that give a customer that no penalty piece of it. You kind of mentioned the buyout or the trade-in or a rollover. Sometimes those things are negative financial impacts to the company and quite possibly could limit their ability to upgrade. Whereas we want to remove that as a barrier so they can basically leverage the right technology for them at that time.
Perfect. Another interesting thing to consider is would service be able to be wrapped up into this deal so their equipment is always optimized?
Yeah, that's actually a great point there because as a service, right? You know, the name itself is implying having that service built into it. And the great thing, which I really think is what customers are looking for, is that peace of mind, that they have the ability to use the equipment, to upgrade the equipment. We even have an act of God coverage that we have built into this as another layer of protection. But we can also wrap in the services. And that means if anything goes wrong, Baker AV and its team is ready, willing, and able to get out there and take care of any issues for the customer. And that really allows them to focus on what they have at hand, you know, versus the technology itself.
I got to ask, what does act of God cover? Because that kind of made me think
Sure.
of what we're currently going through and
Yeah.
would want to make sure that everyone felt comfortable that they wouldn't be put in an awkward position
Right.
if something like this were to happen again.
So, you know, obviously that's kind of a very big term when we say act of God, and it's not to imply any kind of religious, it's really meant that there's something that happens outside of our control, like a hurricane. I'm in Florida, so we get hurricanes every year, you know, lightning, we're the lightning capital. Some places are going to get tornadoes or ice storms, but there are inherent risks out there that most companies carry. And as part of our agreement, we always ask companies to carry business insurance. And with our act of God coverage, if they have a claim that they place on the technology, we'll cover up to $5,000 of their business insurance deductible to minimize the financial impact as part of the as a service offering.
That's great. Thank you.
So as we said a little bit before, but we want to dive into it a little bit more, is that, we've currently seen the workplace needs shift quite rapidly. I know we're having these conversations on a daily basis of how different meeting rooms are going to be repurposed or open spaces. How can businesses take advantage of your platform to, say, transform a flex space into a meeting space, or take existing office space to transform it into a different kind of concept? Obviously, we're going to be consulting on our end, but how does your framework allow them to repurpose certain areas of their office?
Right. Well, great question, because that's the reality, right? Whether we're in this situation or not. And that's really what we've been doing for 26 years, is addressing the change in technology, the change in business. So almost this isn't so much a technology change that customers are looking to take advantage of. It's a business need change. But our program addresses both, because we don't have a crystal ball. Nobody could have actually, looked out in the future and predicted that we'd be where we are today. And hopefully we never have to go through this again. But I think having a program like this, AV as a service, and that flexibility, control, and peace of mind. And again, I told you'd hear me mention that is what we designed it for 26 years ago. And I think technology is more prevalent, and we're relying on it more now than maybe we were 3 months ago. And the way we communicate is changing, and has been changing. And I don't see that really changing. So an AV as a service platform, along with a solution replacement guarantee, can help customers leverage that right technology or that right solution for them, given the current situational factors. So yesterday we were in a position that we needed this, and we could have people together, or we could have large conference rooms and many people there. Maybe in the future that looks different, and again, I don't think any of us know for sure. I personally hope that we can kind of get back to that, but it may not, or it may not be fully in that. So then that conference room might look different than it did. It may be a bigger room with more space. It could be multiple rooms pulled together by technology, so people are spread out. And, that's really where your expertise comes into play, is the ability to work with the customers to understand those needs. But our platform gives them that flexibility to change where they are today, and then deploy something different that meets their needs without that financial penalty. And, given the criteria that we had outlined earlier.
Right, because it's not like the open concept trend or a closed office trend, where it usually takes years to progress. We are in a totally different situation where catalysts outside our control are doing this. So,
but I think the reminder there, Josh, is that it does sometimes take different time for that but we've also flip-flopped back and forth numerous times on that. I use the bank example a lot. It used to be where it was all brick and mortar, right? You had to go to now you can do everything from your phone. Why do you even need to go to the bank? So we flip back. Now a few years ago, they went back to the bank, right? They wanted you to come in because they lost that connection, that relationship, right? Mm-hmm. So they want you to come back in. And now we're flipping back where the bank in our building, I've been going in twice a week to our office space. You have to make an appointment to go in. They got it locked up, you know.
Wow.
So not to say that's where we're going to stick, but I think to your point is it takes time, but it does flip back and forth. Sometimes it's technology drives that. Others is, you know, hey, we found out an open concept. I can't hear anything I'm doing with all these people around. I need something else, right? So sorry, long-winded.
No, that's
No, it's a great point.
So along these guidelines, so given the current climate, a lot of companies are taking advantage of some government funding or short-term loans that hopefully would be reimbursed. Are any of these current programs eligible to facilitate an as-a-service platform with you guys?
So, you know, no, I'm not an expert on any of this, and I don't know that anyone really is because it changes day to day. But they have rolled out a lot of programs to help businesses and to help, you know, individuals bridge this gap. And there's talks of more, funding, if you will, from the government, and what that looks like to be determined. But I think most of that's been geared towards keeping employees employed and keeping a paycheck and keeping businesses that can't be in business, funded so they can pay rent and, you know, kind of the essential pieces to keep the business there so that when we do open up and they're able to open up, that they can come back fully staffed, ready to go, and not, you know, be behind on everything. And I know there's a lot of issues and a lot of people hurting out there because of that. But I don't think, and I haven't seen anything that's technology related so far. But I think this is actually the opportunity. You know, we mentioned early on, is it reevaluating where we're at as a business and our expenses and how we do business. So I think this actually creates an opportunity for companies to look at things differently. Now, technology is still going to play a role. What role, how, where, when, that's to be determined. But I think that just really kind of positions this AV as a service model more to the forefront, because what it does is it allows them to conserve capital. It allows them to take advantage of the right technology at the right time through a subscription / AV as a service model on a monthly operational expense. So they've basically got the use of the equipment, the training, the installation, and the ongoing support of that built into one monthly payment, which allows them to just focus on their core business. So technology is not going anywhere. It's going to be a part of our lives. I just think this gives companies now maybe a clearer mind, more open-minded to look at this, whereas in the past they've just kind of put their blinders on and did it the way they have always done it in the past. And so I think this creates a huge opportunity, not just because of what we went through, but more of, hey, maybe there's something better out there for me, whether this existed or not, but this brought it to the forefront.
Sure. Some might say we have a biased opinion, but we think that now more than ever, technology is absolutely essential to day-to-day business functions. You know, when you're having to communicate frequently with offsite workers, or maybe you're doing a site tour, a virtual site tour, instead of doing a face-to-face tour, you know, it's really, really important to have those elements in place, and that they're going to suit those business needs. But it made me wonder, so if 6 months from now we find that, you know, some more people are feeling comfortable to go back to the office, and you get another wave of people that kind of migrate back into that, how frequently could a business change out their technology to meet those needs?
Sure, great question. I mean, contractually, there is no limit on the timing or times, if you will. They can exercise the solution replacement guarantee at any time during the agreement. Most of ours are 5 years, 60-month in duration. So month 1, month 59, anywhere in between. Now, what's the likelihood of someone upgrading a month or two into an agreement? Very, very low. Even if we ran into something like this, they may not be ready to just make a change that quickly. But we do have customers, 12 months, 24 months, things change, technology change, business needs change. We had, this goes back a little while, but we had a technology manufacturer back when the plasma and the TVs were changing to the thin screens, all that stuff, which you guys deal with every day. But a new manufacturer into that space, they deployed an on-premise phone system, and within 12 months, they had grown so much, 4 times, that we had to exercise the SRG to replace that, to put in a bigger solution to meet the demands. So we just don't know. It wasn't that the technology didn't exist, as their company needs didn't exist that way. And I think that can happen in AV, physical security, data, video conferencing, all of the above, all those things you guys, kind of touch on in some form or fashion. It doesn't limit. And part of that peace of mind is that we don't know when it's going to happen, if it'll happen. But if it does happen, we have a remedy that really doesn't exist in any other form or fashion.
So what if they are really happy with the technology that they have in place, but they would like to add on to it? Is that included in there?
Yeah, we love that. We call that a coterminous add-on. So absolutely. And that actually happens a lot more than a solution replacement guarantee, because they may have what they need and it works, but they're growing.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we just add it coterminously. We don't rewrite the agreement or extend the agreement. We just add that equipment. Their monthly payment will change from A to B, and they move on, just like they were with the SRG, the Act of God, and the service all bundled into that monthly payment.
Great, thank you so much. So do you have any success cases that you could share with us? Maybe something pertaining to business continuity, where these programs have really saved the day?
Yeah, well, I think it may be a little early for us to say if we've saved the day just yet, and I wish I had something that I could really say this happened, but we really haven't had that yet. But what I do believe is that our current AV as a service customers are going to be glad that they have the flexibility, control, and peace of mind that the program brings, because they're in a position to make those changes if and when.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned earlier, I think for those companies that haven't made that transition, they're going to take a bigger look at that as an offering, so that they're not in a situation where they can't change, or they have to pay a steep financial penalty to change. So I think that's going to open up the door, and it's really going to take, an educational process. I always say it's the 6 inches between our ears that we really have to work on, is thinking differently, being open to things that are different, and at least give it its due diligence. Worst thing, you can go back and say, I'm going to do it the way I've always done it. But if you don't look at alternatives, then kind of shame on you.
Sure. And I think this current situation, if anything, it has taught us how to think differently, because we were all thrust into having to make decisions that were going to shake up our daily routine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, arguably we've trained the customers to kind of pay for things in a capital expense environment, budget it this quarter, this year, and you work around that. So I think this will kind of open up, as I mentioned, some folks to look and reevaluate their procurement models to really, consider AV as a service or just technology as a service in general, because of all the benefits that we've talked about today. And we all face the fear, uncertainty, and doubt right now of where we're at in the future. But in some small way, maybe AV as a service can provide companies with some hope, something to look forward to in the future as a benefit for them doing business.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm seeing, in discussions and hearing from the tech community, AV and web conferencing obviously has been embraced more than ever before. Maybe 25% of their workforce took advantage of a Teams or a Zoom platform, and now 95%, if not more, are all thrust into that technology. So as we gradually return to an on-prem environment, those folks that work best in the office, for instance, they're going to have a new grasp about how they can collaborate. And I see this as a good way to jump with both feet into, crafting offerings that are going to let them be nimble, instead of, to your point, having to wait 1 or 2 years to pull the trigger on a big capital expense that at that point, they've been planning for, may be obsolete. It's hard to tell. So we're learning as well as a community is, but I remember 10, 15 years ago, it was, we have an upgrade to software, and the IT guy gets handed a book of CDs. Here you go, man, install it. And it takes 2 weeks. Now software is a service, and hardware is becoming a service as well. And we're excited about how you guys are facilitating that.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of examples around of how we've already been doing this,
Right.
But for some reason in our space, the AV world, a lot of folks are just kind of used to doing it one way. And even though, right here, they're doing the exact thing we're talking about, they just haven't been able to make that transition to, okay, well, I've been doing this with my copier for how long, right? That's technology, that it changes, but who buys a copier? For my entire life, that's the way it's been. Who buys cell phones anymore? Now I got a new printer, and I'm on a monthly per page subscription for the ink, right? And it's actually saving money than how I used to do it before. But that mindset of, okay, it's a monthly commitment,
Yeah.
sometimes scares people.
Yeah.
Even though if they were to really evaluate what they're doing today, there's always a commitment. It just may look differently, i.e. service, right? Service doesn't go away whether you own something or not. Right.
And being able to wrap IT in as the same predictable expenditure, that's a huge benefit to folks that previously might say, hey, we've already spent X amount. We don't really have the budget for support. We'll contact you if we have a problem. Well, then that user experience is not so great. So being able to wrap it all in and enhancing not only predictability of budgets, but the user experience, that gives us a lot of flexibility and helps our customers. I think the internet might have just.
Okay, sorry. I'm like, did I do something?
Awkward turtle pause. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think we hit our talking points, and we're right up on the hour here. Anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap this thing up?
Well, I guess I just like to thank you guys and Baker AV for including me in this, and I hope that folks will just take the time to look at something new, right, and how it might help your business in the future. And we're here. Part of my job is to help from an education standpoint, get the questions answered, and that way your companies and customers can make an informed decision with all the information they need to do that. So we really appreciate the opportunity. TAMCO is excited because I think more and more people are going to look at this. Some may look at it because they have to, because they don't have the capital. Others are going to say, well, I have it, but maybe I need it for other things. But I still need my technology. I still need that. That's not going anywhere. So with that, thanks, Casey and Josh, and appreciate the time. And if there's something I can do to help you guys in the future, just let me know.
We definitely will. So
Yeah,
thank you for joining us, educating everyone and how you can help us and our partners and our clients shift costs and allow our customers to always have the latest and greatest and still adhere to their budgetary constraints. We appreciate that.
My
Yes,
pleasure.
definitely. We appreciate everyone out there. And please remember to be kind and supportive of one another. We need it now more than ever. And if you like what you heard today, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on LinkedIn or Facebook at Baker Audio Visual and on Twitter at Baker Audio. We will see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.